everyone. This is Written in the Stars, and today we are going to look at the language of the stars. Since ancient times, the gods wander the 12 heavenly realms on their quest to bring their divine influences to the spheres of mortal life. This part of the story talks about the three basic components of astrology. There are the gods, which are the planets of astrology. Then there are the heavenly realms, which are the 12 zodiac signs. And lastly, there are the spheres of mortal life, which are the 12 houses. Seven gods wander the 12 heavenly realms on a quest to fulfill their divine mission. On their journey, each god carries an insignia that announces their presence to the other gods. As they traverse the sky, the seven gods discover other players meddling with them behind the scenes. New gods with incredible power, and minor gods with diverse missions. All right, let's unpack this story. So, first up, we have the seven gods, which are the traditional planets in astrology. These are the Sun, the Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. They are the main players in anyone's chart. Next up, we have the new gods in our little story, which are the modern planets Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. And lastly, there are the minor gods, which are the asteroids, such as Juno, Vesta, or Pallas. They aren't used as frequently in astrology and not by every astrologer, which is why they take a minor role when it comes to astrology. The gods or the planets are the what of the astrological language. As in, what mission do the gods try to fulfill in my life? Each god shows the archetypal themes or topics present in everyone's life. Things like pleasure, conflict, expansion, limitation, and much more. What makes every natal chart unique is how the gods or the planets are arranged in the sky at the time of someone's birth. If you're new to astrology, you might be wondering, the sun, the moon, Pluto, they aren't planets, are they? And you're right, they technically aren't, but in astrology, they all are part of the same broad category because they all wander across the fixed stars. They all wander across the ecliptic, which is the band of zodiac constellations that wraps around Earth. And the one exception of an object in the sky that doesn't technically move is the sun. However, in astrology, everything is viewed from Earth, and from the viewpoint of Earth, it also seems like the sun is moving through the zodiac signs. So, lastly, we have to talk about another part of the gods' story, which are the insignia that the gods carry. These insignia of our story are the astrological symbols for each planet, and they are really important to learn if one wants to be able to read a natal chart, because the name of the planets isn't really used in a chart. is the symbols, the glyphs of astrology that are used. And you can see them here, and you just gotta memorize them. But you can always find them online or go back to this video and refer to them if you want to look at your chart. And it's really good to just study them up ahead so you can really read the language of the stars. At the dawn of the universe, seven gods wander across 12 heavenly realms. There they fashion palaces, homes where they can best fulfill their divine mission. Atop the palace towers, flags announce its ruler. As the gods venture through each other's realms, they must abide by the divine law of the realm's ruler. The next part of our story are the heavenly realms, which in astrology are the zodiac signs. They are the next component of the astrological language and consist of the signs Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. The zodiac signs are likely the component of astrology that you have already heard of in some form because the sun sign is usually the sign referred to when somebody asks you about your zodiac sign. However, in astrology, it isn't that simple, and every planet we have already talked about can be placed in one of those zodiac signs, and the way they are arranged in an individual's chart is completely different to someone else's chart. So, the way the planets are arranged in the zodiac signs is very unique to everyone. The heavenly realms or the 12 zodiac signs are the how of astrology, as in, how do the gods try to fulfill their missions? How do the planets try to fulfill their mission? There are certain customs of how to act properly in each realm, and the gods have to follow the realm's customs as they move through another god's land. This means simply that wherever a planet is placed in whatever zodiac sign a planet is placed, it does act differently depending on which sign it is in. Thus, the topic or theme that a planet represents does look different depending on the zodiac sign. The heavenly realms or the zodiac signs are a division of the sky in 12 pieces. Originally, they are based on the constellations. They have the name of the constellations, and the constellations are depending on the fixed stars. However, in the form of astrology that I am using for this channel, which is Western astrology, we use the tropical zodiac, which is more so connected to the seasons than to the actual constellations or to the fixed stars. In a natal chart, you can imagine the heavenly realms or the zodiac signs as the grid on which the planets are placed. In our story, the palaces of each heavenly realm have a flag on their towers, which in astrology are the glyphs of the zodiac signs. Like the planets, each zodiac sign has its glyph by which it can be recognized and which should be learned if one wants to read a natal chart. You can always look on the internet or refer back to this video if you want to look at the glyphs again. The gods create mortals in their image. At birth, every mortal receives a divine spark of each god, fashioned with the resources from the realm they are in. One of them, the gods decide, the one whose realm the newborn sees rising over the eastern horizon, will be his patron, and the gods whose realms follow will oversee different spheres of the mortal's life. This part of the story is what creates an individual's natal chart. First off, we have the divine spark that each mortal receives at birth. This means that every individual has something of each planet in their life, and how that spark looks depends on the zodiac sign each planet is in during the time of the person's birth. You can think of it as a snapshot. The planets are wandering through the zodiac. But if you take a snapshot of the sky the moment someone is born, this is their natal chart. It fixes the position of the planets in the zodiac sign for a specific person and shows exactly how the topics of the planets will show themselves in the person's life. Each person's divine sparks are different and unique. For this, we need the exact time of birth, not just the day, but also the hour and minute, because some planets, like the moon, are so fast that if we do not know the hour or the minute, they might change signs and falsify the natal chart of someone. In the image on the screen, you can see that there are planets in Pisces, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Leo, Libra, and Sagittarius. In the example, the planets are unspecified, but usually you would be able to recognize which planet it is by their glyph. So usually instead of the circles which resemble the planets, you would see the glyphs on it instead. The next part of the story is the god whose realm rises over the eastern horizon and which becomes the newborn's patron. Each realm belongs to a god. Each zodiac sign is associated with a planet, and the sign that can be seen rising over the eastern horizon, as viewed from someone's birthplace, becomes very important to the individual's life. This sign is called the ascendant or rising sign. On the left side of the screen, you can see how a new sign comes up from below. This is the rising sign. It can be found on the left side of the natal chart where the arrow is pointing. The rising or ascendant sign is always the first house. Starting from the rising sign, the other zodiac signs get numbered in counterclockwise motion from 2 to 12. Since each zodiac sign is associated with another planet, or each heavenly realm belongs to a god, each of the other houses has a god that is in charge of whatever that house signifies. The houses or the spheres of mortal life are the where of astrology, as in, where in someone's life do the gods fulfill their mission? They show in what area of life the different themes of the gods or planets show up. The different spheres of mortal life can be things such as family, career, or close relationships. They are what grounds the themes and topics of the planet in something more concrete. Finishing off the video, I'm going to give you some examples. I'm going to use only one of multiple meanings of each planet, sign, and house, but you should remember that each planet, sign, and house can have multiple meanings. First up, we have the Sun in Leo in the first house. The Sun shows our identity, and in the sign of Leo, which has a lot to do with leadership, someone is likely to develop into some sort of leading figure in their lifetime. Someone that takes on a role that makes decisions for others. This can range from a benevolent ruler to a self serving dictator. Where this leadership identity is naturally developed depends on the house. In our example, the sun is in the first house, which is all about ourselves. Thus, in someone with this placement, some sort of leadership identity may be recognizable early on as part of their personality. If we switch out the planet and have the moon in Leo in the first house instead, the way the sign qualities show up will change. The moon is about our emotion, about the way we perceive life. So instead of developing a leader's identity, we will view life through a lens that puts our emotion at the center. Someone with a moon in Leo may have a strong urge to display their emotions, just like a leading figure is looked at by many people. In the first house, this means that the impulse to display one's emotion is a part of the person's personality that guides them through their life. If we keep the sun but switch out the sign from Leo to Cancer, this will change how the planet unfolds their topic. Instead of becoming a leading figure, the person will grow into the role of a nurturer and may, for example, take on a mothering role. Keeping this in the first house, their identity of a nurturer defines the person's personality and guides their life. If we keep the sun and the sign Leo, but switch out the house from the first to the second, this will change the area through which the person's leadership identity is developed. Instead of it being found as a part of their personality, it will be found through their resources, through everything that belongs to them, but isn't necessarily a part of who they are. This might be someone who displays their identity through the things that they own or the amount of wealth that they acquire in their lifetime. I hope that after this video, you understand the language of the stars a little better. If you have any questions, make sure to ask them in the comments. If you like the video, please hit the like button. And if you want more, make sure to subscribe for future videos. In the meantime, you might want to check out my first video where I explain what astrology is and how it relates to storytelling.